Hello, everybody, and welcome to Signature West Podcast. I'm your host, Sam West from Palm Springs, California. It's been a minute since I did a podcast, and that's because I really haven't been able to find the topic that will inspire me to inspire you until 2 weeks ago. Thanks to my friend Buzz Juicy and Craig Carter, they brought in a documentary for the first time and the only time so far. So hang in there. Called Pink Belt. Great documentary. And today, my guest is the voice, the main character, the storytelling person behind the film, Miss Aparna Rajawat. I hope I got that correctly. And the director of the film, John McWright. Hello, everybody.
Hello, thank you for
Hey.
having us.
My pleasure. So, um, question. The first question is for the ones that don't know, what does the term pink belt stand for? Not from the movie perception, but from the sports world.
It's as you know, the women-centric financial empowerment, like everything about the women's safety. And pink has been always a favorite color for a woman. And belt for me signifies power because I've been a martial art player. So what belt you are on, that define your life too, being a martial art player. So belt for me always a power. So pink is a woman, belt is a power. So woman power mission.
It's not a like a category in the sport. Like there's a I think there's like a
No,
black
it is
belt.
nothing to do with the sport because none of the martial art has the belt which is of pink color. I gave that pink belt to the women. Those are empowered women, strong women.
Got it. See, I learned something new. Okay, so now how did the two of you meet?
Well,
John is
my husband and I were on vacation in India, and we went into the lobby to meet our tour manager, and this beautiful person was our tour manager. And the first thing I noticed about her was her hair. I was like, wow, she has really cool hair. And when we were on the tour, she would she was different because I'd been on other tours before. She would take us to a site, but then she would tell us a personal story about her life. And we got a little bit of India through her life, but also we saw the Taj and the Red Fort, and it was just and I kept listening to her stories, and I just wanted to hear more. And so I started asking her. Nobody else asked her questions really, and I felt like I was interviewing her on the bus. And it just evolved from that. She came to visit us, and in like later that summer,
When was
and
that? What year was that?
2019 July. So her birthday is July 1st. So she came out on her birthday. And on her birthday is when we got the idea we wanted to film. We took her to this Mexican restaurant up the street from us, and we said, I think we should film your stories. And her and I went to my business partner. My business partner was like, yes, let's do this. And so that's how it happened, literally on her birthday.
And you've done other films in the past, but nothing like this kind of story, correct?
No, I did one drama. My first drama was sold. It was a bestseller on Amazon for 5 weeks. It was in the top 10. And it was a short film on a compilation. And that one got taken seriously. And then I did all these little comedies, and it went nowhere because I love like John Waters, and I like kind of crazy, funny
Nothing like Pink
things.
Belt.
Nothing like Pink Belt. And so literally when I was in India, I was like, my career is going nowhere. and and I was okay with it. I was like, you know what, if that's what God has in plan for me, then fine. And then I started hearing her story, and the movie just happened. It was very organic. We didn't Aparna and I didn't plan it. It just each step of the way, it was like, hey, why don't we film you talking about those stories you told us? And then during the filming of that, because that was in August. So it was her birthday when we decided to do it. And then she came back up in August, I believe, of 2019. And she said during the interview, I want to break the Guinness World Record for training most women in a self-defense lesson in one spot. I can quote it. It's actually in the movie. And after we turned the camera off, I said to her, we should film you doing that. And so that's
But
how we ended up.
that was before you decided to make the film, that phrase and that conversation.
Yeah, I mean, the interviewing her was just getting all the stories down
Right.
that she had told, just because she's such a political activist. I just wanted to make sure her stories were preserved somewhere. That was the main thing. I didn't really think of it would be a feature film. And then she said that, and I said, wouldn't it be fun to follow you while you try to break the Guinness World Record? And then that's how, and she said yes, and my business partner said yes, and that's how it happened.
So from what
No,
point?
he
Right.
forget to mention one thing. He actually encouraged me to do that. So that was my dream, to like make that many women to stand together for each other, as I said. So it was in my dream to like do that. So when the first schedule, when we decided to do the movie and I was in LA, so John wanted to have my interview whole day to like take out things, what is there. And in that he said, what do you want to achieve? I said, I want this. And so he said, let's do it. I said, no, that is not easy. I'm talking about India, bringing that many women to break Guinness World Record. Even the 50 women who you won't see together coming out or for that kind of cause, no way. In a political rally, you can see these women where buses are sent to them, saris are given to them. That's a political leader gave lots of things. Then only women come out from home, because women coming out of home in India is not a thing. So John said one thing to me at that time, which was very encouraging. He said, like 4 years, 5 years ago, did you know you are going to train like thousands of women like that? You must have started that from like just a baby step, because marathon can be done only by once you take a first step. So don't say like it's not going to happen, just do it. If we are fail, we are fail. At least you will not go at the end of your life the thinking, oh, I didn't even try it. So I think he encouraged me that I can do that, because I never thought about the past, what I was doing at that time. So I think that was the reason. It was his encouragement and boosting me to do that, and that's the reason we could have done that together.
That's kind of crazy because John, you just said, this is a whole new area for you. And a part of you said India is not easy, it's not a thing. So yet somehow you guys found that the courage and the strength to do this. Where did that come from?
That the day of Guinness World Record, that many women showed up. Both of us didn't know that.
Yeah.
We didn't know it. That was the way you guys here got surprised, see that many women. You don't know situation of women. We got shocked because we know the situation of India, that how many women could come. We did 2 months, just day and night work, my pink belt girls, all of us. I was thinking on that day, even if 500 women will show up today, that was really my thought. But we prepared obviously that big stadium because we didn't know the number. But I was assuming, I don't think there will be more than 500 women will show up. 500 is like jackpot.
How many did you have? I forget the number.
It was total around those attempted, because we wanted only youth, young blood. Because if that more than 10% disqualify, we could have just lost that record. So I wanted not the like above the age of 30 and below the age of 4 or 5, because participants. So it was almost I would say 14 to 15,000 women, because half of the women sitting and cheering for them. So 500 was the maximum I could have thought, seeing a situation of India. I didn't know on that day the fathers came to drop their girls off at stadium, and that one of the father stopped Mansi and told that, listen, I want to meet this woman Aparna Rajawat, because my daughter didn't go to school, didn't let me go to the office. She was since last night so excited, couldn't sleep, asked me that if you want, I will not love you if you won't drop me today. at stadium. So I called my office that I'm late. I came to drop my daughter off to be a part of that. Tell Aparna Rajawat that father came to drop off. So many fathers came to drop off their daughter because the city completely, it was a momentum we could not imagine. It was dream come true for us too. Because John knows situation, he filmed the movie and everything.
So let's back up because people that are listening right now have no clue what we're talking about as far as the event. I mean, I know the event because I saw the film. So let's back up, way back up. You had a childhood dream when you were very, very young as far as sports. And you pursued that dream and you became very good at that sport up to a certain age, and then your dream was crushed. What happened?
You mean the karate?
Yeah.
All of that.
Your sport, yeah.
So I started learning when I was 7-8 years old. But obviously my family is, we come from Rajput, that's a warrior caste, kind of the royal clan kind of like background we do have. So obviously this kind of background where it's more the difference between men and women. So there is no way I could learn martial art by the permission of my dad. No way. That was not a done thing. So it's movie you saw that 6 months my dad even didn't know. So I was after my mom that because in my neighborhood park that boys were doing it, and I was so fascinated by that. And I thought if I learn it, I will be that strong. Then obviously, whenever any of the brother will come, I know how to defend myself. That was only in a mind. I didn't know medals, didn't know national games. I didn't know anything. I wanted just be like them so I can defend myself. That's only 7, 8 years.
You were 7 years old.
Seven. I was 7 at that time. 7. So it took almost a year because my mom knows that's not going to happen. So it took 1 year, and then my mom was she made a plan with my younger sister that dad can send me only to learn painting, drawing and stitching, all of that girly kind of thing. There is no way. So my mom took a permission from my dad to send for drawing class me and my sister Mansu, and my dad was happy that I want to do something like feminine. So he was very happy with that. Mansu, we took it with us because Mansu is good in drawing. So at least she could make my drawing too. She agreed to do my work too. So she was going in a drawing class with my copy. I was going in a martial art class. So she was doing her work and she was doing my work too. So we were coming because dad was checking every after 7-8 days, not checking like what you are doing. So I could show my drawing copy. So he was very happy. And then that happened after learning, I would 6-7 months, I became quite good. My mom didn't know how I'm doing there. So my coach asked me like championship is coming district, would you play? I asked my mom agreed because she thought it's 6 months, just she will go maybe fight 1 or 2 bouts and that's it. She didn't know that was going to happen for result because I keep winning all the fights. I reached to the final, and there was a girl who was a state player and blue belt. I was a white belt. I knocked her out. So when I knocked her out, being like, I will say like 8.5 years old, and because that was a big deal, I was only white belt. She was the most popular player, most famous player in that tournament, and I knocked her out, not only beaten her, not only defeated her. So it came in a newspaper when my kick was on her face, and next day that newspaper, that picture was this, and I was going to school, I saw a picture. So I think this whole thing, then obviously my dad got to know and he blamed my mom for that. Everybody got to know. He was so angry. What more lies my mother told him, all of that. So my mom was blamed. And for 1 year then I said they didn't let me go. And then after that, my one of the uncle who was in army, who had a good influence on my dad and whole my family. So my dad didn't want to, but he could not say no to my uncle. So that's the reason, because my coach was very determined to just come to me and just have me there. So this is the story.
But then something else happened. Go ahead.
She's the 16-time national champion, and she's the first woman to medal in an international competition for India. So she got the silver medal. You were 14 when you got the silver medal, right?
Yeah.
14
Yeah.
years old. And she
14
was
years.
fighting one of the most experienced women in the world, and she got the silver medal. And it's even that story is fascinating. She became a big star in Nepal, and they were following her around, and they called her the Wonder Girl of India. And
Yeah, because that girl, it was a senior championship. So I was underage. So my coach, everyone giving like my undertaking, if anything happened to me, that they are like responsible for that, because they were not giving me entry. But because the selection was all India kickboxing, and I in that tournament I knocked every opponent out. So my fight was like just a 1 minute. So and I was given fighter of the tournament in a national championship. So the selector came at that time from Japan, from Nepal. They said, if anybody can bring a medal in this tournament, Indian girl is that one. So I was 14. My opponent was at that time 26, who I had a final fight. And my weight was, and I was underweight too, because the senior championship starts from 41 kilogram category. So I was 37 and 14 years old. She was 26, 27, and who was 44 years old.
That's
so
insane.
my final bout was with her. Yeah, but this is yes, junior can play in a senior if that the undertaking is given at that time by the coach that they agreed. And I, because I was a minor, so my coach, my parents, my mom didn't know that much, like what is going to happen. They said, this is a form, she's going in international, they sign on it. But my coaches knew, but they knew. So in that championship also, I had maximum knockout in whole tournament among men and women. So
And
that's
then,
why that in media it was following me in Nepal, and Wonder Girl, they were calling me there.
and then something terrible happened. What happened?
Yeah, when after that, when I've done it and everything happened, and at that time I was 14 years old. So for my family, especially the male member of my family, for them was, now it's the kid age is over. Now you are a teenager. So for them, that sport was not something serious thing. It was for them, it's just some kind of that kids are playing. So they never took it seriously. So 14 years when I was, for them, I was entering in a womanhood. So now this is over. Now you need to grow your hair, you need to learn how to cook, how to clean, how to do laundry. And just tomorrow onwards, that karate dress, just leave it, you're not going anywhere. And tomorrow you will be with your elder sister and learn how to do the course at home.
What does that make you feel like?
I feel my life is over, because from the age of 7, 8 till 14, I didn't know, morning, evening practice, 2-3 hours morning, 2-3 hours evening. If I won, like as John said, 16 championship, it was not easy. I had to really give my blood and sweat to improve myself as a player, prepare myself, all like that. And I had a dream to play, maybe because Olympic didn't have a karate at that time, even not now, but they were world championships. So I said, either Olympic, world championship, if I could win, and I was really good in South Asia, then definitely I can represent world championship. So my whole dreams, my life was shredded in a pieces, because I never thought that one day I would be told and my life will change. So I felt very, like for a long time, lost, sad, and just in kind of a grief, because it was not death of a person, but that was death of my dream.
Right.
And I think it's the same for me.
I'm writing this down because her and I are working on a book together, and this is actually the very chapter we're in right now. I'm actually meeting, we're working with this person, and I'm meeting this person afterwards. And the question, she asked me that same question. She said, what did Aparna feel though when that happens? And I just was taking notes.
Oh, wait a minute, that was my question.
Yes. But she answered it, so I was like, I need to take this down.
And then something else happened later on. I'm not sure what year. That was also kind of tragic, with an accident. That
was after 3 years actually. I already kind of, but till that time, I was, when my brother said no and my uniform was taken, I could not do a practice morning, evening, but I was going by the name of college, by the name of friends. I was going to karate class and practicing, because that was the life. And most of time my brother find out I went to karate class.
Mhm.
And then it didn't turn out really well at home whenever he find out that I went to karate class. Because karate, that is one thing, it's over, because that was also you play with boys. So for them, you are a woman, you should not be close with the boys. That's it.
Right.
So karate means you are being like so when I was going to karate class, that I was given different names, that I was accused that I'm not going for a sport. Now I'm growing up as a woman. So I may be going just there for a different interest, and which is obviously very shameful, I cannot say. So I was really broken for that too, that what I'm accused of. And the secondly, I left that sport at the same time. So it was like two ways that attack was coming on me, but I couldn't live without that. I was coming, it didn't turn up well. Lots of things was happening, and sometimes it turned into lots of violence at home. But then I say, okay, I should not go. I will not go, because then after 2-3 weeks, my body just craving for it. And then again, I was sneaking into the karate class, practicing there, and my brothers, because that class was not far from my neighborhood. It was little, so they have so many like friends. So they all the time they were telling. So then after 3 years, I had accident, because I had accident at the age of 17. I was told no at the age of 14. And accident really, but I could not play any tournament after
What
that.
was the accident?
No, I played one tournament. No, I played one tournament when I was 17, just before accident.
What was the accident?
Hmm?
What was the accident?
Accident was, I was going to take a class, the karate, and on the way, petrol tanker hit me. So my right leg completely injured. I was almost on a bed for a year. I had almost 6-7 fractures, and I have multiple cracks. Doctor, for a long time, I was told I may not be able to walk at all. And then my knee had 2 surgeries after that. So it is 1 year in a bed, then again 2 surgeries. So obviously there's no way I could do the karate. So that completely changed my life, as I wanted to go in an army or navy to serve my country. That dream completely collapsed. And maybe a world championship, that dream completely gone. So that accident completely changed my life. I lost everything, whatever I had till that time.
And how old were you then?
17.
17. The violence at home, it's not just in India, it's very common. Is that correct?
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's also part of the culture.
It's very much like it's said that in India, that's very old saying. People have a different interpretation, which is positive. But like Shudra, Dhol, Gawar, Pashu, Nari, ye sab hai talan ke adhikari. That means Dhol is a drum. Pashu is animal, all kind of animal. Nari is a woman. Shudra, those are like untouchables, the lower caste. You have to beat them to keep it on right lane. Drum, animal, woman, and untouchables. If you want to like get the best rhythm from them, best work from them, you need to beat them. So this is an old saying. If the old sayings are like that, obviously, so this is definitely part of the culture. They believe that this is their right, because women are a commodity for them. I'm not saying like 100%, but most of the families, which is especially village family or this, and when you have a property, you have a commodity, you can treat them in any ways you want.
So I guess what's making sense to me is there's some kind of connection between that part of the culture and the self-defense that a person is trying to seek or learn or acquire. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's why when I said in my childhood I wanted to learn a karate, that's the reason was only that's I should be able to defend myself. I'm not born to be beaten like that.
She was beaten by her brothers, and she said to me when I asked, she said, I wanted to learn karate not to necessarily beat men up, but just to actually survive the beating. because you learn to take punches. And so this is coming from, you know, a 7-year-old, 8-year-old kid, you know, learning to just survive the beatings of her brothers. And they used to lock her, if she didn't do something that they wanted her to do, they would lock her in the bathroom and turn out the lights with no food. And the parents let it happen because the older brother, he was 21, and how old would you have been? 10?
He's 10 years older than me. So
So
yeah.
yeah, he was an adult doing this to a kid. It wasn't like, you know, like how we picture a sibling. This was an adult man beating this little girl, and she decided the way to survive was to learn to take a punch.
When I said defend myself, that's what I mean actually, because I was not allowed. If he's giving me punch, like I can punch him back. No, no, not at all. No, I would have beaten more, and that is just so much respect you have. You cannot do that. So when I say defend myself, is like at least I will be that strong. Obviously, of my age of man, if they I can defend, like I can definitely stand for myself to just give them back, but not to my elder brother. No way. I couldn't do that. I was not allowed to do that. They would have killed me if I just hit him back. So I was not allowed to hit him back. So I saw that, oh, they were punching each other, they were kicking each other. When I saw this, I said, oh, if they can take this punch and kick, when I learn this art, I will be able to take this punch and kicks. Because whenever he was slapping on my face, like I was maybe 6, 7, 8 years old kid, my like cheek for like 2 days, it was just, I was so much in pain. So I thought if I learn this, my pain will be lesser because I would be able to take it.
So life moved on. You continued life as you see navigate through life, and then you grew to be an adult of your own rights and your own way and your own way of making things happen. And then to fast forward, you really had no plan at that time of seeing that vision for the future to be the pink belt story. That wasn't manifested yet. That wasn't even in the deck of cards in your reality. Correct?
John, what would you say? You know my story about that.
Well, when she was in maybe what we would call junior high, like around 14, she became known as the defender of women in her school. And so if boys started to bully, she would beat the boys up and defend the women. And it was at that time, you could tell the Aaliyah story, she wanted to start at that age a group for women, which is what the prototype of what Pink Belt turned out to be. And she has a funny story about that.
Which one was that? Like that
Where you
police
went to
person?
your counselor and or the city council or something and said you wanted to create a group
Oh,
for women.
yes. Oh, no, that I was 13, 14 years old. And I thought, okay, now I am able to take this beating. I was strong. And the same age boys, if they are giving tough time to girls, I could beat them. So I thought if I became like this, every girl should become like me. That's the way we can like survive now. So I 13, 14 years old, who's DMs, like they call district magistrate, they are the top officer, like they are a king of the one district. They are the top officer, bureaucrats. And I thought the more color, I made a project. And because I was in school, so I thought if the more colorful, more decoration on it, he will like my project more. And bureaucrat is my, so I bought lots of colors and sketch pens and made like beautiful project explaining that how can I teach other women of the city, make a group of these like trainers, and then no one woman will be beaten, they can defend this, they can take a beating, say I will, and 2 million population of that city. So I 13, 14 years, I thought I can train. If 2 million, that means almost like 500,000 is women. I can train all of them. So I went to district magistrate, and there was no 13, 14 years old kid. They're the busiest men. Uh, those are running 2 million people city. So that attendant could let me go inside. So he was, no, kids are not allowed. Bring your parents. You cannot. And I look like a boy, and when I was looking like a boy, I was look even more younger than 13, 14. Right. So he didn't let me go, and I just ran inside. I just did that and ran inside. The district magistrate look at me like, who are you? Who are you? Who's this boy? I said, sir, I'm a girl. I'm not a boy. I brought this project for you. Please give me 5 minutes, 5 minutes. So he started, when he got to know I'm girl, he kind of like smiled. He said, okay, let her come, let her come. What project? So I take out from my school bag with all this drawing and everything. I said, sir, this is a project. And he said, what do you want to do? What project? Say, I want to teach self-defense. So he looked at the project with all the colors. Drawing wasn't good thing. And so he laughed. So I had this in my mind. It's not pink belt. All of a sudden, it started 6, 7 years ago. When I was 13, I wanted every woman be like me.
Right. And I think that's kind of how things happen. You have a thought, an idea, a visual of something, and it leads to pink or green, whatever it ends up being, but that's how the process starts. So you and John meet, now we're moving forward. You and John meet, and John says, let's tell the story. And at that point, there's still the other dream to manifest, to create the real event, the big event. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
So you guys meet, you start doing this, let's film, let's go to India, out of all places. And how was that like?
Well,
I mean,
so there were 4 of us that flew out. That movie looks really big, but there were only 4 of us filming that movie, and I wasn't on the technical side. So technically, 2 camera and 1 sound person. And then for the big event, we hired people from India. We hired more sound, and we hired, I think, 5 more cameras, and to film that big event. But it really started following her. And I have to say, each event we went to, and we didn't go to a lot, we would just follow, because we were there for almost a month. And the first event we went to, it didn't go very well. It used to be in the film, but the film was a little too long, so we cut that part out. But basically, they shut her down and said, you can't do this anymore. And just by the grace of God, her words, the most powerful woman in Agra, her came and said, why are you shutting her down? Let her continue. And so she was able to continue. But from what we saw, every day we would go see something, and it didn't look good. It was like, and we had privately, I don't even know if Aparna knows this, the crew and I had like a bet, and it wasn't that we were betting against her, we just didn't think it was going to happen, because there were so many. And even, I think, as you see in the movie, her best friend, Mansi has doubt too, that it's going to
everybody
happen.
should have doubts. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, you're in a foreign country, you've got obstacles up to here. I would have ran back to the States.
It was scary, because I thought when she got up and they were announcing the record, everything that you see go wrong in the film is happening live as we're filming it. And I'm just thinking, well, however which way this goes, if she gets the world record, it'll be good. And if she doesn't, it'll be one of those touching, sad,
right.
like she tried.
Right.
And so I don't want to tell people, whether she gets the record or not, because truthfully, that wasn't the most important thing. The most important thing was, that women are standing together for each other. And that was always her purpose.
But it must have been insanely amazing that you were expecting, what, 500 on a good day, maybe, and then you end up getting 15,000. Give me a break.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
It's actually the reason, maybe you can say that when I give speeches, like that is the best, like few remarks that people gave it to me. And I think this is the reason. It's not insanely amazing. I didn't read things, I experienced things. It's not somebody else came and told me what they gone through. I myself gone through.
Right.
So I can feel that pain, what these girls are going through, because I'm from same country. I come from the background, I come from the family. So I was in a Jaipur giving a speech, and the principal, very renowned college, it's a women college of like bachelor and master degree, very, very renowned. And the principal didn't have a time like head person who handled like few colleges there, 20 minutes, and she left. Later, she invited me and she said one thing which I always remember. She said, Aparna, you know what? That our girls are like wild in Jaipur. It's a capital city of Rajasthan. But when you start speaking, and that's Mansi said too, start speaking, the girl with you because there were 1,500 girls were sitting today listening you, and every of them was thinking you're talking about her, not to the crowd. It's a her story. And that's the reason when I go and talk to, I don't articulate, I don't know what to speak, I don't prepare 3 hours, I'm on stage, I know the timeline I have to speak for this subject, but what I'm going to speak, I don't know. When I go to stage, I go on a meditation for 20-30 minutes, got on the stage 3 hours on a stage. I talk about the knowledge I have it when I'm just telling them something, giving them some information, that is knowledge. But everything is coming by a heart because I've gone through. And that's the reason when I talk to women, they feel I'm one of them. And that's the reason that is magnetic connection between me and the women and young girls of India. If I talk them, that's not gonna happen. They won't be there. When I go, like for a little story, I was in Lucknow, the one of the place, and I had like almost 3,000 women speech. I have a main training 3 hours, and then after that, that volunteers come. I give them a training to be a master trainer to train other women, and that the officer, because that was with administrative of that city, they were part of that. So training part, they were booking a hall, the venue for the master training, like which like 200 girls. I said, ma'am, there are 2,500 women are coming, girls are coming, and it's not the volunteer we are looking for. It will be like more than 1,000. And she laughed at me like anything. She said, Aparna, this is Lucknow. The girls are not interested for this kind of thing. They don't come for this kind of thing. 200 is a maximum. And I tried to convince, I said, like, what will happen? She said, okay, I can give you a little bigger, maybe 300, but I'm telling you, it will not be full. I said, okay, no problem. Just but do, if you have 300, instead of two, just keep the 300. I went there, I gave a speech. After a speech, one professor came and she said, ma'am, I want to say one thing to you. I brought my girls 1.5 hour drive. I said, and they all wanted to go to pee. So I told them, no, 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 just go to the auditorium and keep your bag to grab a seat because later the seat may not be available.
Right.
So they went there to keep only bag to go to for the pee. And by that time, you entered on the stage and you start speaking. These girls, instead of keeping a bag, they all sit down. And I was telling them, go for she's gonna be for. And they said, no, ma'am, we'll miss something. No. She said, that is the best compliment I'm giving you, that people can hold their pee for 3 hours. That's a big deal. And you won't believe, it was when next day I went, after this, my speech, I went to that officer, 2,500 women came, you won't believe. I had 1,700 women who became volunteer to be a part of Pink Belt. And we have a hall for only 300 people to give a training. So instead of giving, so I had to like cut short. Those are first come, first serve. Only 900 women I could take it. Rest of the women I said no. And instead of giving one group 3 days training, I divided them into 300, 300, and I gave one group only 1 day training to be a master trainer. Rest I said I'll do online. So that is the impact.
Right.
We do have it because I am coming from them. I'm not the speakers. After a speech, I make sure I go in a crowd. I hug them. They want to touch me. They want to take selfie because I want to tell them I am one of you.
Right.
And
She's
this is,
a
I think,
superstar. Like you should see it. It's like she's a rock star.
Well, I saw
And
the
they
film.
go,
I saw the film.
he's very
yeah,
sweet.
they go mad. It just
So
He's my brother. So sweet.
obviously the
Yes.
goal is to get the film out there. We already spoke about that, and get in the film fest world. But beside all that viral exposure, what is the hope and the impact that you want to see this film create? Because obviously, I mean, I love documentaries, and I've seen God knows how many, and there are documentaries that are being done, and you watch them and you get very heartfelt. But wait a minute, there's no change being made. You know, it's a great film, it's a great, a lot of work, a lot of sweat, but you still see the same country or issue still hasn't really moved the needle. So, what is your hope and what is your goal that this will create in the long run?
Well,
So
Aparna came to
you
stay with us for a little bit, and when she was, because we were working on the book together, and we sat down and we created a marketing plan, our dream of what we want to do. And we want to have the book finished, and we want to go to India, and we picked the cities that have the biggest population because of girls that are in college, women that are in college, and we wanted to do a tour. Really, is part of it, is and show the film, have Aparna speak, and then do a book signing afterwards, because Aparna and I had no idea. We, to be honest, and you can speak to it, Aparna, we both were kind of, mm, I was bored with the film, you know, because I've seen it 100 million times. And so in Palm Springs, when it played there, I was sitting in the back. I had no idea the impact the film would have on the audience. And Aparna was sitting a seat over, for 2 seats over from me, and I would look over at her, and we're just looking at the audience, and we were shocked at, people were laughing, and people were crying, and people were cheering, and somebody screamed bravo, and then when it was over, there was a standing ovation, and we came to the stage. And the thing I think that shocked both of us, we were talking about this at dinner after, was we had no idea that it would become not just a film, but an experience with that group. And nobody wanted to leave. Everybody wanted to talk to her afterwards. And I've never seen people stay that long, especially at dinner time. You know, like you say, girls don't, you know, holding their pee. Well, people were hungry and they stayed just to talk to her, and then followed us over to where we went afterwards, and there was a whole that's how we met you, you know, was afterwards over at that place. And I think people started telling us their stories, that similar things that happened to her, they told her and they told me, and people came up to us crying. And so I feel like this is not just a documentary, it's a healing event. That's what I learned from Palm Springs. Is, I don't know about you, Sam, but you were in the audience. I felt like we had like this communal healing experience. And I think that's what we want to try to recreate in India for these young women.
How about you, Sam? Like, question for you now. That's how did you like? You were part of the audience. You watch a movie. How did you feel? What do you think
Well,
that way a movie will go?
well, I tell you, there's a scene in the movie that I personally can relate to. Obviously, I'm not from India, and I'm not a woman, and I wasn't physically abused. But there's a scene where you went back to the place that you were raised after 25 years. I went back 2 years ago to the place I was born after 30 years. I haven't been there, and so when you were going walking through, except you had new people live there, I still had relatives living there. So it was like going home
Okay.
where things were still the same. It was complete. I don't know how you felt doing that experience, but for me, when I did it, your mind goes 30 years back into the present within seconds. Like literally, I went back to the future to the present all within seconds. Like, oh, I was
Yeah.
here. I was 30, now I'm 60. So that to me was a very relatable scene. Um, but overall, I think, like John said, there was something very healing about it. That I always wonder. I always feel like my story is a unique story, but then you realize I'm not, because if you hear your story, oh, there's another story that's more unique than mine. She had a challenging upbringing, but look what she ended up doing. So it's very inspiring. Obviously, I told you that after, and before I was invited to go, I had no clue what pink belt stood for or is. So I completely had no, except all I knew the film was to support our local museum here for the funding. That's all I knew about the night. But I had no idea about the story, your story, who you are. So to me, it was completely a blank slate, and I think that was probably helpful. So the story was very wow. Um, yeah, I think it's a very inspiring story. I wish you guys beyond all the best to go beyond just a movie because people can make movies every day, all day, but it's a movie. So I hope for you guys that you able to take that, like John said, and make it into a much bigger than just a film.
Mhm.
Obviously,
I
it's your
thank you
experience, it's your
for,
story.
yeah, no, thank you for that insight. And I must add here that John, I think I said when I talk to women and they feel it's same John and me, maybe we share a same spirit. That is what I feel because the things I've gone through somehow here and there, he gone through too. So he connected with a cause and he connected with my life because when I say something and John has stories somewhere here and there and everybody has a story, but we have very much similar story actually.
We
So
have a similar
John,
story.
yeah, similar stories too, yeah. So I was lucky that I found John. You need to find John too,
Need to
right?
find my John.
What started it off between Aparna and I was her mother had recently died of cancer, and my mother died of cancer. So
Mm.
I can even talk about it. It's still, even it's been 13 years, it's to
Yeah.
me in the movie, the part that always makes me cry is anytime she talks about her
Your
mother,
mother?
I instantly tear up because that's how we connected, and it was through grief
Right,
actually is what
right,
bonded us.
right.
And then, she was in an accident, a very serious accident, and I was too. And, she was told she couldn't play with certain toys or certain games because it wasn't gender appropriate. I wanted to play with my cousin's Easy Bake Oven, and it was like, well, that's a girl's thing. And I was like, how is cake girls thing? I like to eat cake. Everybody likes to eat cake. How does that have a gender? And just every time she told me something, we just related, and it's just, even to this day, we'll show up at an event, not today, but usually we show up in the same color or something. We're like, oh, did you two think, like, or we'll order the
We
same
went
food.
like Palm Spring. I went to Palm Spring. I had to go and meet John and then go for a lunch with Craig and Buzz. And I end up at his door where he was staying. I was like wearing the baby pink shirt. He came out with baby pink shirt. I said, John, again, why we do that?
So,
And then we ordered the same food at the restaurant. We were
Yeah.
at 8 for 9, and
When John was making a movie, because he knows when you said that going back to home, because when he just took lots of scenes, let's go to this, let's go there. I had no idea that how following me that can create a story. How he's gonna that synchronize, put in an order and have like telling my story. How he's just following me with the camera wherever I'm going. And he said, oh, you used to fly kite, let's fly, just fly kite. I said, okay, okay, I flew kite with my shaker with my cousin. And oh, I want to see the place where you born, let's
yes,
let's
yeah,
go
of
there on
course.
that street. And
Yeah,
all of a sudden house was there and she said,
yeah.
where you born? I said, this is how. He said, can you go inside? So he's like making things spontaneous. When the movie came in front of me, I was like this, oh, what's going to happen next? Oh,
Well,
what's going to happen next?
that's the
Then I'm
art
like,
of
oh, that's my
direction.
story, I know.
Yeah.
So
And
he
I
is
really, and I don't know about you, but
artist.
I don't believe in
Yeah.
coincidence. I do not believe there's no such thing in coincidence. As even as tough as some situations are in life, like um, the Asian upbringing and all of that, but there are no coincidences. So, congrats on the magic. The last question. That was your first time in Palm Springs, right? Aparna?
Yeah, mine?
Yeah.
No, mine is second time. I came briefly to see that Marilyn Monroe. So I was like,
Okay.
once I came for a Halloween and my friend was going, I said, oh, there is a big statue of Marilyn Monroe. I want to go there. So she came for a one day. We stayed in a hotel. I went in a night, took picture of Marilyn Monroe next morning. So I didn't see Palm Spring at
Well, you know,
all.
there's a whole story about the
Literally.
Marilyn Monroe statue, but I won't get to that
No,
now.
I was very mesmerized by that because John is a big fan too. He showed me the documentary and all. So then I got to know more about Marilyn Monroe, and I find it she was amazing woman at that time. Uh, she was an inspiration, definitely, like being that bold at that time, and everybody's pointing a finger at her, and she didn't stop. So I would
So
say,
what's your
wow.
impression?
So
What's
I
your
would
impression of Palm Springs? What you saw? I know you weren't there long enough. What was your impression like? I know
oh,
it was
that's a
hot. It was a very hot night. I know that.
people are super nice. That's the one thing. I was so welcomed. They made me feel so special. And the way supported, because when John said people were coming, they were, because as he said, when we were sitting together, me and John, 2 seats apart, and we were seeing that all the reaction of. So I got that message that this movie is giving a hope to the people. Those are going through something bad in their life. The movie is healing people, those have already gone through something in their life. And now the movie is being, because the lady came to me and she said, that happened to me when I was 11. And your movie healed me today, Aparna. And she hugged me and she started crying that touching you, watching that movie is healing me. And you have no idea what you did to me. And I was really, the movie can give that like impact on someone, that she's healed today. And she was maybe in her 70s, that lady. And the third thing, it's inspiring. The people, those have a same spirit like me, like John, who came and he saw the cause. He said, no, you're doing something amazing, Aparna. It should go to the world. Let's get the support from people. You can do so much better. Mm-hmm. So it is because he has the same spirit as me. That's why he got inspired and what be on a boat. 5 years, this man gave his day and night. I was here 1 month doing my things. He followed me, but my job was over there. But his job started from there after that. And 5 years, this man did everything day and night. So obviously, if he does not share the same spirit as me to do good for people, he wouldn't do that. He wouldn't spend his own money taking out and coming and doing that for me. So inspiring for our people, those never had a chance to do something for other people, this movie will inspire they can do that. And that's the reason when people were standing, what we can do, Aparna, for you, what we can do, Aparna, for you, because these are the same people. And that way in Palm Spring, people were coming and talking to me and asking me how they can help. I think Palm Spring left big impact, and I felt very deep connection because I will always remember where the foundation stone was laid.
That's true.
Of pink belt.
That's true.
Yeah, that is true. Foundation stone, and where you began, you
and
never.
I was there. And I was there.
I went back to that home because I was born there. There my life began. And now this pink belt documentary began from there. So definitely it will remain
Buzz,
right, John?
Thanks to Buzz and Craig. Did you go anywhere else besides Maryland, 849, the Roost? Did you go anywhere else while you were here?
We went to the aerial tram, and
okay.
I took her up there, and I should have warned her, because she had on sandals, and I should have told her there's a lot of hiking up there.
If you want to.
But it was so nice and cool.
It cooled down. Yeah.
It was only 75 up there.
Yeah.
It was good. I love Palm Springs as a town too so much. I definitely would come back. I made some friends who text me like you, just reaching us, and few times that John was not, and he was just, you see, you have a same spirit, like wanna take our story and spread among the people why you are doing that, because you want to do good too, and that is inspiring.
What I said earlier, it's been I haven't done a podcast in months because I really couldn't find a topic that thrilled me, and I don't want to just throw any 45 minutes out there unless I'm inspired. So exactly when I'm inspired, I can inspire the listeners, and hopefully it's a win-win for everybody. So on that note, I wish you guys all the best. There's more to come. This is just the beginning. And come back. I wish I can tell the audience to go watch the film, but they can't. So you're gonna have to just hang tight. I'm gonna tell you. One day you'll watch the film somewhere, probably in Film Fest here in Palm Springs. Thank you,
I hope
everybody.
so.
Yes. And come back to Palm Springs, and I'll see you both soon. And to everybody else, have a great week and happy August. Thank you.
Thank you so much for
Thank
having
you,
us.
Sam.
Thank you so much. Thank you.